Hello, I'm James Southgate, Field Technical Manager, and we're here at the Barton Innovation Centre on the 9th of April, where today we've been conducting the latest timing of our spring drilling. So we've had two different drills, either a John Deere 750A drill or a Kverneland U drill across a whole range of situations, whether that be plough, minimum cultivation, shallow cultivation, into different cover crops, burnt off in different ways. So for the cover crops, we've either drilled it on the green, so hopefully you can see just behind me here, this was drilled with the 750A drill and it's still green. Just behind that, the section of cover crops are actually sprayed off on the 20th of January, so as early as we could under the EFA cover crop rules, and there we have drilled into basically bare soil because the cover crops disappeared. The other issue that we maybe have to contend with into the future is what if we don't have glyphosate. So right in front of me here, this area has had no glyphosate on the cover crop. We've cultivated it deeply and shallow in the spring and then drilled into it to try and destroy the cover crop with the cultivations. Within this block, we've got various seed rates and different seed treatments that we're trying to look at to see establishment, but also the competitive nature of the laureate spring barley that we put in here. So generally the spring barley's gone in well. It's been dry on the surface, but underneath what we have is where it's gone into, there's bits of moisture, as you can see down here, and so where the seed is, it's actually into good amounts of moisture under here. So hopefully with the warm soil conditions, things will be up and away within the next 10 days to 2 weeks at the most. So we're in the cultivation field in the winter barley section, and on this side we have bazooka sown at 250 seeds through the Kverneland U drill at a 12.5 centimetre spacing, and hopefully you can see we have a very nice even coverage, and currently the growth stage is 31. On the other side here we actually sowed Propino spring barley at the end of October, the same time as the bazooka, here at 400 seeds, and you can see at this point it's actually slightly behind. It hasn't got going as quick as what the bazooka has in this early spring. So now we're on the dividing line between bazooka barley sown on 12.5 centimetre rows on this side and sown at 25 centimetre rows on this side. Now the reason for changing, they're exactly the same drill, but the reason for changing is to see the impact of wider row spacings on the crop competition in the early phase, but also later into the season, and the effect that it has on blackgrass. And so over here you can see we have a nice thick canopy and fairly even. On the wider row spacing at the moment it's slightly more uneven. The crops are more upright and there's still quite a gap, allowing light down to the ground, allowing for subsequent spring germination of grass weeds. So back in January in this section I talked about the various cultivation methods we've used within the field. Now moving on, here in April we can start to see the differences between the herbicide programs. So in this top section we've either direct drilled or used a shallow cultivation just prior to drilling to try and mix in some of the stubble and look at the impacts of blackgrass across various herbicide programs. Now here, this is the shallow cultivation on this side, and no herbicide at all, and hopefully you can see in here it looks very, very dense green canopy, and a lot of that is blackgrass. There is some crop, but there's also huge amounts of blackgrass within the untreated. However, on the other side has had a sequenced program, so it had a stacked pre-em followed up at growth stage 11 of the crop with 2 more residual actives as well. And hopefully you can see on this side exactly the same cultivation and drilling technique, but now between the rows you can start to see much more bare soil, and that's because we've done a very good job at controlling the blackgrass in this scenario. And you can see the importance of residual chemistry as well as cultivation technique in doing the best job against blackgrass. So as another little area within the cultivation field, we've experimented without using glyphosate pre-drilling on this side, compared to on this side we've used glyphosate 3 days before drilling. Now visually, as you look down the field, there's not a lot of difference. However, what we have is where we haven't used glyphosate is we had plants which were already at the 2 to 3 leaf stage at drilling and weren't obviously killed, and then have escaped the pre-em and are now really quite large and have a large number of tillers and going to produce a lot of heads. Compared to on the side where we did use the glyphosate, we have some small blackgrass now, and because we killed off before drilling, and only a very few have escaped the pre-emergence herbicides. So within this trial, what we're looking at is various crop species and some differences between hybrid varieties and conventional varieties of barley. And so as a crop competition, part of the area is untreated and the other side is treated, because there's a range of different herbicides that you can use on some species that you can't use on others, which also has an impact on the competition and the final seed return. So we have wheat, barley, 6-row barley, oats, triticale, winter species, but we also have spring barley sown at 2 different times, one early in March, one later into early April, and to see if there's an impact on drill timing on how much comes up within the spring. We also have spring wheat and spring oats within that section as well. Within each species, we also have placed light meters to look at how they fill the ground and cover the area, stopping light getting through to the blackgrass. So we're measuring the light both within these different species, but also from a non-cropped area, so we can see the difference and how much the crop is actually intercepting.